On the show today, Nissan India's answer to the Hyundai Creta and the Renault Captur. It's the Nissan Kicks. Shumi gets us his first impressions of the KTM125 Duke. We've got our senses on overdrive with the Mercedes-AMG Emotion Tour and a look at Hero Motorsports Team Rally geared up for Dakar 2019. Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Dutt. Now, the premium compact SUV segment is one of the most popular segments in the country today, and Nissan is all set to enter this market space with the Kicks. Now, this SUV, of course, is a very important product from the Japanese manufacturer in the country because it plans to reaffirm the positioning of the brand in India with the Kicks. Now, Abhay Verma will tell you more.
SUVs, SUVs, SUVs. That's all that Indian car buyers seem to want, and 2018 once again saw a large number of SUVs get launched in the country. That said, the 10 to 15 lakh rupee price range has been in the spotlight this year too. And while we are talking about that segment, it's hard to ignore the fact that the launch of the Nissan Kicks has been long overdue. Well, the good news is that the launch is just around the corner. January 2019 when Nissan will launch the Kicks in India, but even more interesting is the fact that Nissan is not launching the international version of the Kicks in the country. It has in fact built a bigger version specially for the Indian market, and we are in the desolateness of the Run of Kutch to tell you how it feels like to drive. But first, let's talk about the design. The design language is sharp and edgy, and the Kicks also borrows flavor from Nissan's SUVs sold internationally, and I have to admit, it is a very handsome looking SUV with its modern design elements. Interestingly, given Indian buyers' penchant for SUVs that are big and butch looking, Nissan has made the Indian version of the Kicks slightly larger than the version sold abroad, but the design makes it look compact visually. The face is aggressive thanks to Nissan's trademark V-grille, which uses a thick chromed outline and is flanked by headlamp units that integrate LED daytime running lamps and projector beams and stretch out onto the front fender. There's sharp character lines on the sides along with prominent black cladding on the wheel arches, and the Kicks runs on machine-finished 17-inch alloys shod with 215 section Apollo tires. The roofline slopes backwards, and there's a set of roof rails which Nissan says are functional and not just ornamental, while the roof gets a floating design and is finished in contrasting colors, which was black in the case of our maroon colored test car. The design of the rear is equally arresting thanks to the design of the tail lamp cluster, which along with the sharply raked windscreen makes for a very sporty appearance. I do wish the tail lamps were LED units though. On the whole, the Kicks does boast impressive road presence and will appeal to younger buyers wanting a fresh-looking SUV. Step inside and the Kicks offers a fresh, youthful and a premium vibe, and that's thanks to the layout of the dashboard, the dual-tone brown and black interiors, the 8-inch infotainment display, which is the largest in the segment. The dashboard also features soft-touch leather here, which adds to that premium feel. But more importantly, Nissan is targeting the younger crop of SUV buyers with the Kicks, and keeping their demands in mind, it has equipped it with an elaborate feature list as well. The list includes a 360-degree parking camera, which is a segment first. The 8-inch touchscreen offers Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity and has physical buttons for its controls, which makes it easier to use while driving. That said, Nissan has continued with placing audio controls on a separate stub under the steering wheel like the Terrano, carried over from the Renault Duster and Captur. But Nissan has added volume controls onto the steering wheel this time, which adds to the driver's convenience. On the driver aids front, there's hill hold assist, cruise control, traction control, as also rain sensing wipers and an automatic function for the headlamps. The Kicks also gets automatic climate control, which is pretty quick when it comes to cooling the cabin. The instrument cluster integrates a digital speedometer placed in the center, and the layout looks good, but the fuel gauge could have been smaller and the telltale lights larger instead. There's a generous sprinkling of carbon fiber-like finishes across various panels and the steering wheel for a sporty look, while the dual-tone brown and black leather seats add to the luxurious feel. The front armrest, which also houses the rear air conditioning vents, is a little too intrusive and tall though. It makes putting the seatbelt on a bit of a chore, as it prevents you from reaching the buckle easily. That said, the driver's cockpit is spacious, though I wish the steering offered reach adjustment as well. The boot is impressive in terms of space and can hold a lot of luggage given its 400-litre volume. And while we are talking about space, the Kicks may look compact from the outside, but it is reasonably comfortable and spacious inside and offers good amounts of legroom and kneeroom at the rear. Ingress and egress are comfortable as well, and that's despite the 210 mm ground clearance. The seat position is a little too high though. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall and I can adjust the seat height manually, but even at the lowest setting it feels a little too tall as compared to what I would have liked it to be. And the seat base is also angled a little too high and I would have liked it to be slightly flatter. The Kicks will be offered with petrol and diesel engines both in India, and these are 1.5 litre engines that we are familiar with already, as they power the Nissan Terrano, the Renault Duster and the Renault Captur as well. And the good news here is that the bottom end power delivery in the Kicks is better than what we have seen on previous iterations of this engine. The diesel comes mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox and the petrol to a 5-speed manual. At the time of launch, there are no plans to launch an automatic version though, and the ratios for the 6-speed gearbox here in the diesel are adequate, but I would have liked the 6th gear to be slightly taller. At a speedometer indicated 120 kmph in 6th gear, the tacho needle was at 2600 rpm, which is on the higher side. A taller 6th gear would mean lower revs, which should add to comfort and also help in improving fuel efficiency slightly. Quality of gear shifts is good and clutch action from the pedal is light, though I would have liked travel to be lesser. The Renault-sourced 1.5 litre diesel engine has always impressed us with its acceleration, and it feels the same as always in the Kicks, offering brisk acceleration from standstill, followed by a strong mid-range punch that makes overtaking easy without the need to downshift. Cruising on the highway is a comfortable affair too, though the engine gets slightly noisy at high revs, but it feels smooth and refined at all times without any hints of stress. The Kicks is based on the same platform as the Renault Captur thanks to the Renault-Nissan alliance, and this is a proven platform which also tells us that this SUV is certainly fun to drive. Well, that's also courtesy of the well-tuned suspension, which does its bit in offering a lot of confidence when driving enthusiastically. The steering system in this SUV is an electrically powered one, and while it is reasonably good in terms of the feel, I would have liked some more feedback from it. What's more, the steering still has a little bit of the kickback seen in the Nissan Terrano, Renault Duster and Renault Captur, wherein the steering sends a little jerk to the driver's hands around corners, though the jerk is noticeably milder here. We've always liked Nissans for their likeable handling, and the Kicks follows that tradition and feels engaging to drive. It feels almost car-like, especially since body roll is well controlled thanks to the slightly firm suspension setup. Now one would expect the ride quality to also feel firm because of the suspension's firmness, but the Kicks impressed us with how well it soaks up bumps and undulations and also takes care of potholes well. Lateral movement on bad roads is well controlled too, and these ride and handling characteristics should certainly help the Kicks appeal to family SUV buyers. With what it brings to the table, the Nissan Kicks is certainly an interesting addition to the premium compact SUV segment. And that's a segment where it will rub shoulders with the Renault Captur and the Hyundai Creta, which of course, as we know, has been ruling that segment for a while now. We expect the Kicks to be priced in the 10 to 15 lakh rupee price range, which sounds about right.
Decided to introduce the 125 Duke in India. Now it's a motorcycle that they have been producing as well as been exporting right from the very beginning at their Chakan plant. So what does it feel like and why now? Shumi will tell you more.
The rise in prices of KTMs has created the opportunity for a motorcycle like this one. The idea is that there are parents who want their kids to have KTMs, but the 200 is too fast. You want a lower price point, and that's precisely what the Duke 125 is about. It's the same motorcycle that they used to export earlier. It's back in production and will go on sale in India. What's it like to ride? Today is the day to find out. Since the current 200 has the old design and the 250 and 390 Dukes have the new one, we had guessed that the KTM 125 Duke had to look like the old one. That's not a bad thing, because the Kiska design is still very unique, still distinctive, and for a kid looking for a cool factor, the Duke design is very desirable even today. It is no surprise then that under the familiar skin is a familiar motorcycle. In effect, while the current export market 125 has ride-by-wire and all of that, this is exactly the old, until recently out of production 125 Duke that KTM India used to export. The engine is the same as the old 125 engine that used to be exported. Today, what it brings to the market is 14.4 PS. It's as smooth as the KTM's engine ever were. It's easy to rev out. And the only thing you'll notice is there's a big gap between the 5th and the 6th gear. So on a fast straight, like at the Bajaj track today, when you open the throttle in 5th, there is acceleration, but when you open the throttle in 6th, it sort of calms down a little bit and holds speed, which should be good for economy. The engine sits in the familiar old chassis with the trellis frame welded on rear subframe, etc., exactly like the old one. The only addition is ABS for the front wheel. The KTM125 Duke does not have ABS even as an option on the rear wheel. The KTM Duke 125 has the potential to be the largest selling KTM in India, displacing the KTM Duke 200 from that perch. And what KTM have done is a very savvy package. It has the same old school bodywork and I think it looks quite nice. It's the same engine that used to be there before. There's no mystery here. They've added a front ABS system. The rear is still without an ABS, and at this price point maybe putting a dual channel ABS would have made this motorcycle too expensive. But as a package, a frame that does that much with an engine that can only push it so much creates a package that I think new riders will find very friendly to use. And it's got just enough performance too. It gets to about 100 kmph easily. We saw the maximum of about 106, 107 today. I think that's a nicely rounded package. If you can get about 14.5 bhp for about 1,10,000 rupees or something like that ex-showroom, I think you have a nice bike on your hands. How will India receive the idea of a sporty 125 though? I can't tell you how excited I am about it. I've been saying this for years. Kids need to be able to upgrade to something more fun. This is it.
Well, it's time now to kick the biking news a notch higher. Hero Motorsport Team Rally has just announced its driver lineup for the 2019 Dakar Rally, and it's time now to check out who's going to be attacking the dunes of Peru in 2019. Hero Motorsport Team Rally made their way into the toughest type of global rally raid arena, the Dakar Rally, just 2 years ago. The team is now gearing up for the 41st edition of the Dakar Rally, which will be held in Peru for the first time. In the capital city of India, Hero Motorsport announced the rally riders for the coming Dakar: Indian off-road riding veteran C.S. Santosh, supercross and motocross expert from Portugal, Joaquim Rodriguez, and enduro racer Oriol Mena from Spain.
Well, we are lucky that we have been since the beginning. We had a very compact and nice team. We could start right away with getting results, and also from year to year we could improve. From the first year already being on 12th position, now in the second Dakar on the 7th position, and now the next Dakar 2019 will be especially tough one with a 70% sand and dunes, which is not only hard for the riders and their physics, but also a lot for the technical part of the bike. So yeah, we are very happy to be here and always build up on what we achieved last year.
The Hero 450RR gets new suspension geometry and a new kinematics package. The cooling has also been reworked to handle the heat in Peru. The overall setup has been tuned to perform better in desert, keeping in mind the new conditions.
We changed all the fuel tanks. Last year I used the old model, and we have all the fuel tanks on the rear part. So now we move in front, we move also the gravity center, and we make a really competitive bike together with the Hero Moto Corporation and Rally Sports with the Speedbrain Society. We make a really competitive bike. We designed a really competitive bike.
The route is a 5,000 kilometer coil beginning and ending in Lima. The race will take place over 3,000 kilometers in 10 special stages, and 70% of the running will be on sand.
Dunes are something that are really not very easy, not very difficult, but it's something that you need to understand a bit more to progress in terms of speed. So I'm happy to put 10 days in Peru and take with me a lot of experience, and I'm sure I'm going to have a really good experience going 2019 Dakar.
The biggest expectations naturally come from Oriol Mena, who completed the 40th edition of Dakar in 7th position.
Yeah, I finished 7 overall, first rookie. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure for this year. Everybody told me exactly the same. If the last year you finished 7 and you won the rookie class with no experience, this year you will have more experience, so you will be in the top 5. No, I don't want to try to commit that mistake. You know, every year is a new year for us. That's true that we work more than last year. We work a lot during the season, developing the new bike, working on myself also, working on my, to adjust my level for the rally races. But my goal will be exactly the same as last year. Crossing the finish line, living day by day, try to finish every stage, try to help as much as I can to my teammates, and we'll see what happens with the result.
I'm really excited to welcome you to yet another Overdrive curated expedition drive. Now we've realized that why should we always have all the fun? So this time around we're giving you a chance to get up close and personal with the Mercedes-AMG lineup of cars. We also realize that if you are an AMG fan, then it's probably a safe bet to assume that you also enjoy some activities that only an adrenaline junkie would enjoy. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll bring you up to speed with our adventure with AMG cars as well as some fun activities. For driving and performance enthusiasts, empty roads aren't just seen as means to travel on. It's much more than this. They see every road as an invitation and encouragement really to unleash their vehicle's power, and that becomes an expression of their personality. Usually, any road is enjoyed as a track by AMG cars. But when Overdrive and Mercedes-Benz join hands, the word drive takes a completely different meaning. We took to the streets of Delhi, Bengaluru and Hyderabad in 17 Mercedes-AMG vehicles and countless AMG enthusiasts through the city streets and highways to look for destinations that had more heart-thumping activities in store. The first route was from the capital of India to the capital of Rajasthan. A flag off with these AMG beasts is an orchestra of pops and crackles. A drive with all of them together with the powerful rumble of the exhaust over a long distance is a memorable symphony.
My favorite is E63 AMG, and that was the beast I drove, but it was an amazing experience which I had. It was a very good car I drove, and when you accelerate, it beats my heart more faster.
The hall for the first night was the majestic Rambagh Palace, now part of the Taj group of hotels in the royal city of Jaipur. It's here where our guests geared up for their next powerful experience, clay target shooting with shotguns at the Oasis JDA shooting range. Here the experts on hand taught the group the basics of shooting at clay targets. Basically, in trap shooting, the targets are launched from a single source or machine, generally away from the shooter. And in skeet shooting, targets are launched from two different points in somewhat sideways paths that intersect in front of the shooter. When a shotgun is resting in its rack, the state of motion does not change, but lift it to your shoulder and pull the trigger and the force is unleashed, giving instant acceleration just like in any Mercedes-AMG. Not to forget the recoil, a backward movement caused by the momentum of the pellets leaving the barrel. It's like being thrown back in the seat of a Mercedes-AMG when you floor the throttle.
It was a lot of fun just taking the gun and shooting around and getting the targets. It was a lot of fun, got 5 targets, it was nice.
While the festivities of the evening led to more bonding time for the AMG fanatics, it was a lesser hidden fact that they couldn't wait till sunrise and their next shot at powering through the highways once again. In Bengaluru, the AMG Emotion Tour group roared into the Dakar Aerodrome. Built under the patronage of the Maharaja of Mysore in 1948, from a government flying school that ran through the better part of the last century to hosting flying clubs and adrenaline junkies, the Dakar airport has come a long way. Activities like parasailing and microlight rides are what keeps the airport busy. And early on a Monday morning, the Dakar Aerodrome played host to the AMG Emotion Tour. With slight reluctance, everyone swapped four wheels for two wings, but the reluctance didn't last long. After all, it's not every day you get a bird's eye view of the city of Bengaluru from 1,000 feet above it. And what's more, the controls were handed right over to the participants. The rush you feel from piloting a microlight is unimaginable, and there was only one way to let our group retain that level of pumped-up rush until our destination, which was the Taj property in Madikeri, Coorg, 275 kilometers away. By the smiles on the faces behind the wheels, the AMG magic was at work.
I was expecting the C63S or even the G-Wagon to be a much more fun ride, but actually this turned out to be the wolf in a sheep's clothing. Extremely fast, very nimble, very well planted, and superbly responsive. So yeah, the GLA 45 is definitely my best pick out of the entire lot.
Today, well, I'm most excited about putting that car in Sport Plus, downshifting, upshifting, and hearing that amazing exhaust note that every AMG car makes.
The road leading up to the Madikeri resort was a road less travelled on. A broken piece of tarmac to be navigated without the added security of the light of day. But thanks to the multi-beam LED lighting, the adaptive headlights were especially useful when a thick cloud of fog rolled in and cut visibility to just a few feet ahead. Once into the property, it was time to let the activities of the day sink in and get some rest until the AMGs got restless to start out yet again. The Hyderabad chapter of the Overdrive AMG Emotion Tour gave a select few a chance to experience an AMG and what it can do to the senses. The G63 AMG and GLE 43 AMG were prepped for an off-road course at the Dr. Chaitanya Farms. The good doctor has participated in the Rainforest Challenge in India, undoubtedly amongst the toughest off-road driving events in the world. The route he had in mind were deep ditches as well as steep 45 degrees inclines and descents, giving the prospective customers an idea of the advanced 4MATIC four-wheel drive systems in these SUVs. Driving through the course was a cinch in it, as its lockable differentials and 850 Nm producing V8 motor was more than enough to get out of any situation. The GLE 43 AMG, on the other hand, wasn't as well equipped to tackle off-road obstacles, but it managed to sail through, much to the amazement of the group present.
Because normally you look at the GLE and you're like, oh, it's an AMG, it's a soft roader, but I was shocked with its capability. I mean, sure, the G will walk through the off-road course, but the GLE did so much more even when it was put out of its whole environment.
With a sense of elation and much to talk about, the group regrouped one last time at the magnificent Taj Falagnuma Palace, famously known to be the home of the Nizam of Hyderabad. While the drive back to the dealership was short, there was a quick visit to the Guns of Glory Shooting Academy in Gachibowli, where the group got a chance to try out some pistol and rifle shooting. The AMG Emotion Tour has been a special, distinctive drive. From the sure-footed handling to the glorious sound, the AMGs had done that many cars fail to these days. They managed to tug at the heartstrings of those who love to drive, and there never can be enough words to express that. Just emotions.
Well, I do hope you enjoyed this adventurous Mercedes AMG drive story. You can catch the individual stories on our YouTube channel. We also have updates for you on Facebook as well as Twitter, and you can read the story on the website as well as the Overdrive magazine. Thank you for watching.